the hay, all you sports fans out there in the Tubosphere. Welcome to One Man Sports Rant. I am your host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill, talking about some interesting and cool factoid ESPN science with some of the biggest names. We covered them all last year. College football players, now going to be NFL. How will they be drafted based on this schematic that Sports Science did? Alright, so let's get to it. See, from our Pi Kappa Alpha House Sweethearts, UView Chapter Alpha Tau, giving you props. Alright, just a reminder, the OMSR is a show, has to be done this way, it's not my first choice, called the DMCA, never produced, put up a video, then you don't understand some of the difficulties to this, especially when you're piggybacking on some of these other networks. We give all the credit to ESPN, except to say this show is copyright to the OMSR. Brief video highlights courtesy to ESPN and the NFL. The OMSR does not own these video highlights, but does own all the other original content. The overall concept herein, thereof, therefore, most rights reserved. The biggest right, of course, belonging all the video highlights we're able to bring in to the aforementioned parties. Alright, so stands to reason. Yeah, and we've all discussed this. What's the best way to put this out there without being in your face? I know that sounds like a misnomer. One man sports rant, we. There is a we involved in this project. We're all former college football or basketball players, and a few Marine Corps recon. So, you wouldn't say a flip comment to our face? I'm pretty sure that's the case. Don't do it from the safety of your computer. For a pro bono sports show, we're able to bring you quite a lot. Alright, enough said about that. So these dudes are looking pretty good, and this ESPN Sports Science, especially in this rendition, 2013, very cool. Split it up into 3 parts so as to give ESPN all the credit. Can't piggyback on, one network for too long, given any event, sporting or otherwise. The good ship sports clip lollipop on YouTube has sailed. In terms of, if you could put up an hour and get away with it, doesn't mean you should. We've been doing this since Generation 1. Alright, enough of the legalese. You see, Kim Pak, the mighty Kim Pak, our oracle to the sports gods, 21-4, after the Final Four. It's kind of cool. So, start asking him questions when the NBA playoffs start to come to a head. Who's going to win Game 6? Is so-and-so is going to be able to come back from 3-1? We'll see how that goes. Alright, so 3 parts coming up. Big names, Denard, Robinson, Ogletree from Georgia, DJ Fluker, Alabama, yada yada, so forth and so on. Monte Ball from Wisconsin. I could go on and on and on. Just you check out all 3 parts. This is going to be the baseline show for all 3. So you'll know if you want to see all 3 from this point, whatever first point you see, when to fast forward to. I understand. This show's not meant to be everybody's cup of tea. It's meant to COA, which in singular form is CYA. No silly DUIs while you're out there celebrating whatever sport you prefer. Better days, more signature plays.
Our goal was to test the skills NFL prospects actually use in a game. For example, when we analyze defensive backs, we're looking for their ability to read plays, change directions, and even lay it out horizontally. Xavier Rhodes showed us crazy acceleration. David Amerson had an exceptional change of direction. And Tyrann Mathieu, a.k.a. Honey Badger, had one of the fastest back pedals we measured. But the defensive back who impressed us the most, the Texas Longhorn safety, Kenny Viccaro. With his massive thighs measuring nearly 27 inches around, about the same circumference as a soccer ball, Viccaro can generate enough ground reaction force to produce a running vertical leap of 40 1/2 inches, which ties him for the 3rd highest vert of all the athletes we measured this year. So we decided to analyze his in-game jumping skills with our island test. We want to see how quickly you can react to a quarterback. We're going to have you drop back, we're going to have you dive for a ball, we're going to have you run up as though it's a run play. We call it the island test. So ready to do this? Sure. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. When reacting to the run, Viccaro can shift from reverse to forward in just 0.43 of a second. That's a faster change in direction than we measured by Pro Bowler Ed Reed. To make a play on the deep ball, Viccaro begins reacting just 0.17 of a second after the QB rotates his shoulders towards his target. After Viccaro turns, he accelerates to more than 18 miles per hour in just 3 strides. And when the QB throws an out route, Viccaro closes the 20-foot gap between him and the target in just over a second. And amazingly, when testing his ability to fully extend, our state-of-the-art motion sensor technology reveals Viccaro can elevate his center of mass about 5 feet off the turf, as he's able to get a hand on the ball 19 feet away from his takeoff point, a distance more than 3 full body lengths. And when evaluating Viccaro's scores through all of our position-specific tests, we give him an overall sports science grade in the 90th percentile. That's in class with sports science alum Cordero Patterson and Kenny Viccaro are both amazingly skilled. The most athletic prospect in the entire draft might be a guy who really hasn't played that much football. BYU defensive end Ziggy Ansah. To test Ziggy's reaction time, explosion off the line, and quickness, we put him through our offside test. Our hard-counting QB will try to draw him offside, and once he snaps the ball, send Ziggy sprinting 10 yards.
Blue white! Blue white! Blue white! It's hot! Hot! Blue white! It's hot! Hot!
Despite weighing almost 270 pounds, the heaviest defensive end we analyzed in the lab this year, Ziggy reacts and covers 10 yards in only 1.92 seconds. That's the fastest time we recorded in this test by nearly 0.2 of a second. And Ziggy also displayed an impressive burst off the line in our Living on the Edge test. 3, 2, 1. Coming off the first heavy bag, Ziggy cuts around the agility pole while subjecting his knee and ankle joints to about 3 times his body weight. This sharp cut helps him go from heavy bag to heavy bag in just 1.57 seconds. Also, the fastest time recorded by the D lineman we tested this year. And after spinning at an angular velocity of 540 degrees per second, Ziggy peaks at over 16 miles per hour before crashing into the dummy with nearly a ton of force. So after plugging his data into our metric, we give Ziggy a score in the 91st percentile. And we see
now, being a U of U guy, my question is, how did he end up at BYU? I don't think he's in the church.
A couple of the quickest players in the draft.
What do I mean by that, the Mormon church?
Over the years, we've tested some of the game's best running backs. Guys like Arian Foster, Maurice Jones-Drew, Marshawn Lynch, and Adrian Peterson. This year's crop of running backs include Giovanni Bernard, who delivered the biggest stiff arm we measured. Ray Graham demonstrated blistering acceleration. And one player who broke away from the pack, Oregon running back, Kenyon Barner. To test this running back prospect, we put him through our game changer test. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. than 190 pounds, Barner displayed incredible power. He covers the first 12 feet while battling through nearly 1,500 pounds of heavy bags in less than 2 seconds, the fastest time we recorded from any running back in this year's class. And Barner also showed great agility. Our motion capture technology reveals that he lowers the center of mass by roughly 40%. This helps him weave through our agility poles in 1.48 seconds, making him the only player this year to record a time less than 1.5 seconds through the section. Next, he spins off the bag at an angular velocity of 619 degrees per second. And on a 6-foot high bar, a sports science record held by Adrian Peterson, Barner just barely clips the bar. Completing all of our running back tests, Kenyon Barner's total score in our metric is just over 90, the highest of any of the running backs we tested this year. In fact, Barner actually scored higher in our lab tests than Arian Foster. For those who are skeptical about Kenyon Barner's size, keep this in mind. Warwick Dunn was 5'9", 185, and he carried the ball almost 2,700 times in 12 seasons, and he only missed 10 games. Now, every year, we invite one of the draft's biggest and baddest prospects to help with a special experiment here in the lab, and it usually involves crushing me. The previous participants include Ndamukong Suh and Marcel Darius. This year's behemoth is Alabama's offensive tackle, DJ Fluker. We want to see how much force you create when you're pulling on the line of scrimmage. Ready to do it?
Sounds great.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Jeez. Fluker reacts to the trigger in 0.21 of a second, changes direction, and covers a distance of 5 yards, all in just 2.1 seconds. At 6'5", 340 pounds, he can still accelerate up to almost 13 miles an hour in just 4 steps, smashing into the dummy with over 1,800 pounds of force. To experience what that amount of force feels like, I'm gonna take one for the team.
So if I'm 6'3", as short as he was looking, dude must be, I don't know, 5'8".
Now it's time for a little payback. Maybe not. So to really test how Fluker pass blocks charging defenders, he'll have to stop this nearly 300-pound heavy bag as it comes swinging down at him. Nice. Go. Moving at more than 12 miles an hour, the heavy bag generates massive momentum. But Fluker absorbs almost 1,600 pounds of force without giving an inch. That's like stopping a blitzing Patrick Willis dead in his tracks. Nice.
Squats.
He's done abusing our testing equipment and shrugging off distractions like me. DJ Fluker emerges with a draft score in the 88th percentile.